Yo, yo, yo. Starting her up. We live. Let me pause that. Get some people up in here. Let's see here. What's up, everybody? It's kind of a spontaneous live stream. Wait for some people to get in before I really get into it. Looking at my other screen right now. Put that down here. All right, so it's Terminator Juice, and what am I hit? I want to take a little time, defend my honor a little bit, talk about graphics and the term graphics horror, and then anything else that maybe comes up. So I've noticed recently in the last few months some shades getting thrown my way from some subscribers, some followers on Twitter, my comment section on my videos, that I've become the quote unquote graphics whore, that I always talk shit about, that type of person, and I'm gonna address that. Definitely prove that just so easily false. I mean, unless you want to change the definition of graphics whore, to me, a graphics whore is somebody who puts, if you're saying it serious, like if you're actually calling somebody a graphics whore, you're being negative, like trying to really hurt them. To me, the definition is somebody who puts graphics at the top of the heap when it comes to priorities in a video game. Whether it's got to have a certain level of graphics to play, or you wouldn't play a game if it had quote unquote bad graphics or simple graphics. To me, that's a graphics whore. Somebody who, it's the most important thing. They won't play games depending on the graphics. Some of that's the art style too, but graphics to a lot of people means the same. And it's like, unless you have some different definition of graphics horror, noticing one game looks better than the other, if that's the definition of a graphics horror, I think every person with eyes is a graphics horror. Or being able to notice before anyone in Digital Foundry says anything that a game maybe looks a little blurrier than you were expecting, that makes me a graphics whore. Then I mean, there's no defense, because I got eyeballs. I'm sorry, I can see the difference between something that looks clean, something that looks blurry, and stuff like that. But so the first thing I'm gonna do is just debunk being a graphics whore. I mean, that's pretty easy. So I'm gonna tweet. I got Twitter here. I'm gonna tweet from my Switch this photo. Let me use my finger here on the touch screen. It's not the most accurate though. God damn it. Hate this touch screen. So people who aren't watching this are gonna wonder what the hell, where's this coming from? But all right, so tweet this out, and I'm gonna talk about two games that I have on PC and I have on Switch, and that's Doom and Rocket League. So here's my Steam, and I'm gonna click on Doom. Hopefully you can see that playtime. Let me zoom in real quick. Shit, how do you zoom in? Alt? Nope, it's not letting me. Thought I could zoom in quicker. I can't on this. On a web page you can. hopefully you can see that. It says 18 hours on Doom. So ever since I got my 1440p monitor, that's what I can play it as, above 60 frames per second. Pretty much max settings, except for a few unimportant ones that aren't worth the performance hit. And then Rocket League here, 280 hours. I have that, you know, again, 1440p maxed out. Looks gorgeous. I mean, for Rocket League, it looks gorgeous. So, all right, let's go to that tweet that I just sent. All right, let's make this full screen. All right, so Doom on Switch, 55 hours or more. It could be as close to, you know, close to 60. Could be 59.5. And Rocket League, 435 hours. I bought the PC version of Rocket League when I had 200 hours on the Switch version. So I put 235 hours on the Switch version while I've had the PC version. I put all 55 plus hours of Doom on the Switch while I've had the PC version. Now, if I'm a graphics whore, why the hell do I have almost 3 times the amount of playtime on Doom on Switch than I do on PC? I mean, seriously. Rocket League's been about even since I got it on PC. It's just to me, that's with my 144 hertz monitor, getting the you know, the fastest response time. It's all about reducing input lag for me, more than anything with Rocket League. So the visuals really don't factor in at all. It's just about having super quick refresh rate on my monitor, and, you know, wired Xbox controller, you know, everything I can to have a competitive advantage. So those are 2 games. Basically, graphics didn't matter at all. I played the Switch version, I think it's almost exactly 3 times the amount as I did the PC version. You know, and that Switch game doesn't look gorgeous by any means, but it's good enough, and it's a hell of a lot of fun. And the Switch version was just as fun, played the same, felt like Doom. So the other thing, I just bought Trials Rising on the Xbox One. I have the S model. Bring this, let's go here. Digital Foundry just did a analysis on Trials Rising, and guess what? I bought the second worst looking version of the game. Out of 6 versions, I only have access to 4 versions potentially, and I bought the second worst one. It doesn't really matter, I guess, if you find that video, but watch the video. Xbox One's like 800p to 900p, and pretty consistent frame rate. But it's like, okay, why did I buy the Xbox One version if it's the second worst looking version? PS4's full 1080, PC I could have played it at 1440p. Why would I buy the Xbox One S version if I'm a graphics whore? Like that just makes no sense to me. And I don't really want to. The tweet was a couple days ago. This video idea started because Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice is coming to Switch in April. What's up, Ibsters? And I have 9 hours in the game. I beat it, and I started a second playthrough. And while I was playing it in the beginning, I'm like, you know what? I wonder what the Switch version might look like. So let me mess with some settings, and actually, let me boot this up. I was like, let me play with some settings, look at the trailer from the Nintendo Direct, and see if I can't get a good idea of what Switch version might look like. So I dropped the settings to low. I put it at 720p resolution, and I took some screenshots, and I posted that on Twitter. You know, this is what it might look like in certain. There's like a wood plank showing it, you know, with texture, and this is the beginning of the game, so this isn't spoilers. But there's looking at the direct footage, I was like, all right, it looks, and this is on max settings here. So let me go to the graphics. Like I said, I just was curious, and I only had it at 1080. So 720p overall. We'll go low, but there might be, like, a few things might be a little bit better. I left VSync on just so it's not running at 100 and some frames per second. View effects. So let's put that at medium. And wow, switching the resolution really messed up my second screen. So this, to me, the rocks look low. The rocks look way too low textured there. But Senna's character model looks really close to the clips on the direct footage. So if you look at her side there, I don't know how well this is coming through. You can't really tell, but that she actually has like a green plaid. And then this rock here is looking a little plain. So, I was just kind of messing around with stuff. I know on Doom the texture quality was below low settings, and I was just playing it on Switch, and some of the get close objects definitely look pretty bad. But the background stuff, so see how much of a difference that made. I think what they're gonna do is generally in the character model that looks a little bit higher quality. You can see that it's like a green plaid there. So I'm guessing that it's gonna be between low and medium. But when you get to an object like this, I have a feeling it's gonna take priority, and they're actually gonna make it specific. Like this object here gets a higher texture quality. So I was just I thought it would be kind of cool just to try to get an idea of what this game would look like on the Switch. So I don't know how it's looking on the stream. On my screen, it looks decent, but like I said, I watched the direct footage a few times. I think it's a little high, so it might be probably between low and medium. So that was kind of the whole point. Was I was just like, you know what? I think it'd be an interesting video to try to, do a digital foundry thing and say, what do you think the Switch version is going to look like? Because this is a graphically impressive game on full settings, but as you can, I can just pan the camera around. I don't know why the pointer's on screen right now. Let me show you just what I was talking about earlier. And it's really finicky. So you can see the texture right there of like it's like a plaid texture. Now in the direct footage, I didn't see that detail. So I think it's just gonna be more specific. Like instead of just putting textures on high or low, it's gonna be certain things. Oh, I had them on high. Whoops, I meant to have them on medium. That's why they look so good. Because they have like this shot in the direct, and so I feel like it's going to be somewhere in this ballpark, probably a little bit. I think we're going to get the old 540, 640p deal, upscaled. But I am very curious to see what this game looks like. And then just getting back to the whole graphics whore thing. As long as it's not an ARC situation where it's just such a shitty version of the game that it's unplayable, but I doubt it will be because they've been working on it for over a year. I'm gonna double dip. I'm gonna buy the Switch version. I'm gonna play through it again, support a good game on the Switch, a developer I like. So I think it's gonna be just a little bit lower than this, and maybe a little bit lower resolution, but it's gonna be it's gonna look good. for the Switch, especially in portable mode. So that was kind of the whole idea I had. I made some screenshots, and then someone basically saying I become the thing I swore I never would be, or thing I've always hated, and blah 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 blah. And it was just like, seriously, like, so I just wanted to kind of explain that, and then I'll put it on maxer out here and just kind of show you the difference. You can see just the details. I mean, and then just getting back again to the whole graphics whore thing. Now, if you have a PC, and let's say I got an R9 390, it's basically a 3.5-year-old graphics card, but it can still pull 1440 and some impressive visuals. Oh shit, I gotta end this. This is messing the stream. Too much for my PC to handle. I knew I shouldn't have tried that. As soon as I started, my plan was not to show footage. So hopefully the stream gets back on track. And I have a black background. Why is that? There we go. Hopefully the stream gets back. But I probably shouldn't have maxed out 1440p. I have it at 60 frames. So let me know in the chat if the stream's settled down, because it looks like it's still in the red. Anybody hear me? Hopefully. I'm just waiting to see if this will work itself out. No one in the chat, so I don't know. Wish somebody would type something, just say, hey, can you hear me? Is the stream all right? Let me try something real quick. Oh, it was playing in really small too. I didn't realize when I made it 720 how small it was playing. Yeah, I'm still showing in the red. Come on. I don't know why. Alright, seems to be playing smoother. Can you hear me? Is the video caught up yet? I turned the game off like 2 minutes ago. Why does it do that? But you can hear me. I'm not bothered about jaggies and stuff that Digital Foundry jizzes over. They just really, I mean, people like to give them that they worry about the dumbest shit. But when they're trying to compare two games, let's say the PS4, Xbox One version that are so close, and maybe say, well, what's the point then? Well, when you have both consoles, and maybe that's just the final deciding factor, but still, they tend to be very positive about Nintendo, about Switch games, especially the first-party Nintendo games. They know that they don't use anti-aliasing, so the jaggies or whatever, they don't really pick on that too much. They have knowledge, and they do. I'm trying to think of I don't know if I can think of the word, but they try to just give you the info without trying to lead you to a conclusion. So, they're just like what a news reporter should do, is just give you the facts and let you decide, not give you their opinion or lean you one way or the other. They're giving you the info, the tech info. All right, here's what the Switch version of Trials Rising is doing. It's trying to hit 720p. That's the max. It dips in a few spots down to like 500p, but runs mostly at 720p. But it's at 30 frames, and there's frame pacing issues that make it feel kind of jittery, and there's all these visual downgrades. All right, here's the Xbox One version. Here's what it does. they're giving you the information. Now, if you only have one of the systems, then I guess it doesn't matter. But if you're trying to decide, like if the Switch version would have been 60 frames per second, I don't care if it looked even worse than it does. There's a good chance I would have bought that version. So, you know, I think they just give the facts and let the people do with it what they will. If it means something to you, good. If it doesn't, fine. Like, it's not, I don't think they're pushing this, look at this pixels zoomed in, you know, look at this fake 4K checkerboarding. If you zoom in really close, you can see it, you know, like, what are you supposed to do? That's what they're doing. Just like what I do is talk about video games and Nintendo, you know, like, so it's what their channel's based on. But anyway, another thing, they do refer to the Switch as a handheld because that is what dictates what the games look like. The handheld side of it is, you gotta go by the low end. You can't, you know, oh, it's a home console, it's impressive. If they don't consider the handheld portion of it, then most of the games are an absolute fail on there. Most of the ports, I'm saying. So it's the handheld is why the games look the way they do. If the Switch wasn't a handheld, even if they went with the Tegra and that was like, and the CPU were fully clocked, you wouldn't have the games look the way they do, even in dock mode. Like, it's the handheld mode is what holds back what the Switch could actually do if it was just always a docked-in system. Even with the chips it has, if they just clocked them to their normal speed, you'd see a huge improvement. Breath of the Wild probably be 1080p, you know, pretty close to a lock 60 type of stuff. So they have to use the lowest common denominator to refer to the Switch, and it is a handheld. You know, you can't argue it's a handheld because the improvements when docking are so minimal in a lot of cases, because they have to design the game to run on a handheld. The handheld version of the Switch is the baseline. The game has to run on that before they can do anything else. So, but just another thing about being called a graphics whore. So I have a tendency, and I'm about to get super washed out. I have a tendency to take a lot of screenshots when playing games. So here's my Switch backup. I'm going to click on the Breath of the Wild folder. Alright. I'm going to scroll down. And these are all unique photos. This isn't copy paste. This isn't duplicates. I'm scrolling. Scrolling. Still scrolling. These are my Breath of the Wild screenshots. Alright, you see that? This is, graphically speaking, has a lot of shortcomings when you're talking about graphics. So, if you zoomed in on a photo or something, you're gonna see jaggies on the edge of this building. You see, you know, texture quality isn't the great. The draw distance, level detail in the background isn't mind blowing type of stuff. But I took this many screenshots. All right. Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Game that at times looks like a Wii game, and at other times looks like a PS4 game. When I say Wii game, here's an example. Look at that texture on that wall in Elysium towards the end of the game. So, I mean, you can see it. And then let's go to a shot like this. I don't know why they're not full screen. Let's make it full screen. That's a good shot. That's not the one I thought it was though. Something like that. I mean, this is good. It has good moments, but it has bad moments. But look at all the screenshots. Not as many as Breath of the Wild, but a lot of screenshots. Alright. So let me go to my PS4 backup. One of the best looking games this generation, God of War. Here's my photos. And I love taking photos in games. I mean, look at that Kratos. Look at that character model. I mean, amazing, right? Dragon don't look so good, but good art direction here. But look at the difference. Like, graphics horror gonna... What game's gonna have more photos? God of War or Breath of the Wild? Here's a good looking game, but nowhere near the level of God of War. Gravity Rush 2. This is different because this has waifus, so a lot of the photos are something I was just to send to Terrell to taunt him to buy the game. But so like, look at this. Look how many photos I have of Breath of the Wild. Like, seriously. I mean, it's a good looking game. And I'm going to make a statement right now. Two best looking games, I dare say all time. Because there's, you know, you can't go back to Ocarina of Time and say it looks better than Breath of the Wild. When it came out, Ocarina of Time was definitely one of the best looking games of all time. But the thing about graphics is they don't always age so well, so pretty much the best looking games are always the newest games. So right now, in my opinion, as of March 7th, 2019, the two best looking games of all time. Number one, Breath of the Wild, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild on the Switch. And number two, let me see if I have any. I don't even know if I have any photos. Keep you guys just anticipating the answer here. I took some photos. I don't know if I backed them up though. It does not look like it, so what I'll do is I'll just pop open a photo here. And you're probably not going to guess it. Anybody want to guess what my number two best looking game of all time is? Let me find a good picture. Here's one. It's only in 720p, but it'll do. That'll do, donkey. God damn, it's a PNG. Doesn't matter. Gravity Rush 2, Xenoblade Chronicles X. Nope. I'll pull it up in a second here. I'd rather have reduced graphics with 60. And I can prove that because I have 530 hours in Rocket League. And I have less than 30 minutes in the 30 frames per second. Forza? You mean Horizon? Horizon or Forza? Horizon 4 is definitely a good guess. Where's that photo I just shared? Fucking saved. Damn it, where did it go? I just saved the damn thing. Oh, here it is. Alright. There we go. Boom. Fucking Hollow Knight. This is the best looking 2D game I've ever seen in my life. It's one of the best art styles. This, and seeing it in motion. So, Odyssey's good looking, but I almost think 3D World looks better. But anyway, Hollow Knight. So, and I thought this as soon as I started playing the game. Like once I started getting to a couple of the different worlds, or areas, I mean. Ori and the Blind Forest would be up there. Forza Horizon 4 is a good looking game. It's definitely up there. So, you know, that might be 3 or 4 right now. Fucking Hollow Knight is just, it's just amazing what they did in that art style, and it's just such a good looking game. But Breath of the Wild to me is just, it's all about, it's not just raw visuals. It's not just the art direction. It's just how everything works together in Breath of the Wild, with the subtle little details, the day-night cycle, the clouds, the shadows, the grass, the cel-shaded look, Link's design, all the designs in the game. It's just, everything just works so well together. Like the way that, a little puddle of water and you look and there's grass under the water, like it's not just dirt texture and stuff. Child of Light's a good looking game. The Rayman Legend Origins are good looking games, but they're not even close to Hollow Knight for me, or Ori and the Blind Forest. See, Ori is different too, because that is it's more of a 3D, with a lighting engine and stuff, and Hollow Knight's just kind of a hand drawn, but everything animates so well, and it looks so good. So I'm just like how, I could see someone just kind of throwing the term out there, kind of joking, hey, you talk about graphics a lot, you talk about visuals here, talk about frame rates a lot, or whatever. But when you really get down to what the term means, graphics are not anywhere near the top of the list unless it's the same game. I'm trying to decide which version to get it on. If it's not an online game, then PS4 trumps the Xbox usually. Plus, there's so many factors, but that's the kind of stuff where I kind of think about. With Resident Evil 2, I went with the PS4 version because of the Xbox One had some frame rate drop, or not frame rate drops, but it dipped into the high 30s, low 40s and stuff. Yeah, photo modes in games, the graphics always improve. That's that's just a known thing, because it's the CPU is not doing anything. It's not calculating any physics. There's no animation. There's no frames per second. It's just a locked image, so they can throw everything at it. And I have a feeling that Mario Odyssey's photo mode is a kind of a glimpse at what Mario Odyssey would look like if the Switch, the Tegra was running at full clock speed and the CPU was running at full clock speed. They didn't, underclock it because of the battery life in portable mode. And I just feel like they didn't want to have a huge jump from portable to handheld, something a little more easy to develop for. Because if they had fully clocked the CPU at 2 gigahertz, because it doesn't change when you go in portable mode, the CPU does not change. Now the NVIDIA Shield or whatever has a 2 gigahertz clock speed. The Switch has like a 1 gigahertz clock speed, so it's cut in half. Because if it was at 2, then your battery life is going to be, I don't know if it'd be cut in half, but it would be significantly reduced. So that's where the handheld mode positively, factually affects what's possible in dock mode. So, just getting back to the photo mode, like Hellblade has a photo mode, and the character model looks better when you're in photo mode. The environments don't change, and frame. You could say there's a frame rate in photo mode, but really there's not. I guess if you're moving the camera, stuff has to move and shrink and stuff. So, but if you just have the camera still, there is no. If you position it and leave it there, there's no frame rate anymore. It's just, basically the max what the Switch could do if frame rate wasn't an issue. Maybe not the max, but because if you put that blur effect on and take a photo in Odyssey, which I have some, it looks close to a Pixar movie. Let me find that. And, just the question I want to ask anybody is I kind of alluded to it earlier, but if, on the PC, am I going to play Hellblade at 720p when I have a 1440p monitor? No, I mean, I'm going to match the monitor's resolution. If my graphics card can handle max settings and play smooth, I'm going to do that. Like, that's just common sense. That has nothing to do with being a graphics hoe or any of that crap. That's just common sense. So yeah, let's see here. Look through some of these photos of Odyssey. See, that's just a game, panning the camera. This is a photo. That's a photo mode. I mean, it's a nice looking game. I mean, this is a good looking game, don't get me wrong. That was actually in game. That's a photo, obviously. Let me find the vertical pictures, because this is when I was really trying to impress. It's Lack 2 in the ice. But if you look at that ground texture though. That's how they get away with. See, Nintendo's smart and they're clever in their development. They know their hardware. This little reflection on this ice and seeing, you know, the different like geometry of the ice there is way more important to this photo and selling that's ice than having super high-res ground texture, you know. So they put their emphasis on things that I feel are more important, like this little ice effect here, this distortion, the detail in Mario, and you know the raised grass looks good, but they trick your eyes. You focus on the thing that they want you to, and then you kind of don't notice at times how terrible the ground texture is. I mean, if you look over here, this ground texture just, I mean, it's completely lacking, but it doesn't matter because they're smart enough to know where to put the power of the switch on this ice. And again, look, the ground texture looks like, I mean, probably something that the N64 might have been able to do. Definitely GameCube. I mean, so I mean, it's smart design. Let me find some of these other ones. I mean, this looks really nice. You know, you get that blur effect on there, and that shit looks, you know, getting close to Pixar. Like this right here, to me, could be in a movie, and you know, with good animation and stuff, and be considered a, you know, a high quality animation because that looks so good. His costume there. Same with here, like that. You could put this Mario pretty much just, I mean, with some improved lighting, and you could make the Mario movie and almost use this. That's how good it looks. And this is all in photo mode. So yeah, went on a little thing there. Got down a path there I didn't plan. I thought Mario's model was a little off in Odyssey. Yeah, it's definitely you. I tried Starlink's photo mode. It's alright. Just there's not a lot going on with the ships and anything. It's nothing super interesting. It does look pretty good though. I actually have some photos on my Switch of from photo mode. So yeah, I mean, it's like when playing anything on PC, the whole point is to play whatever game it is at the highest graphical and performance potential. So yeah, why wouldn't you? I mean, I wouldn't say that's the point, but you buy a graphics card because you want good performance. Like, I wanted to be able to play the new, at the time, Rise of the Tomb Raider at 60 frames per second and not settle for 30 frames per second on Xbox One or Xbox 360. And that was achieved with my card by turning the anti-aliasing to like the second lowest setting. Instead, I had it at the max setting, and it was just like killing my card. That's one of the biggest resource hogs that I've seen, because I was doing a benchmark of Rise of the Tomb Raider, and I'm like, why am I at like 25, 30 frames per second? And then I was like, I moved the anti-aliasing, you know, FX SMA or whatever it's called, off, and I was getting like 75, 80. I was like, holy shit. So then I put it at the, basically, there's off, there's the first one, and then the second one out of like 5. And I was getting like 66 frames per second. So everyone talks about Nintendo and jaggies, like Mario Kart 8 and jaggies. Anti-aliasing is such a big hit to the performance. I think Doom would run at 60 if they just turned off anti-aliasing. I don't know how consistent it'd be at 60. I think it could get close to that. Trials Rising, I don't even know if that has anti-aliasing, but there's no reason the Switch version should be 30 frames per second for what that game is. So again, I'm gonna, I can't hide the fact that I'm more aware of this stuff, I guess, than most people are, probably. But I don't see the harm, because at the end of the day, I still have Yoshi's Crafted World pre-ordered. I'm still buying it day one. I still played through the demo twice. Even though I was the first person I know to notice it looked blurry. And just because Woolly World looks so nice, I was just a little bit off-putting, but I'm like, I still really enjoyed it. I'm pre-ordering it. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter, but at the same time, I don't see the harm in pointing it out or pointing out stuff like that when it doesn't affect me playing a game. Like, it will affect me getting a Switch version of a game, though. Like I said, Trials Rising, that's a Twitch super technical game, and it's running at 30, and by default, you don't have analog triggers. It's just, to me, it's a far inferior version, and that's not just graphics whoring. That's just the skills you need. Let me pull up Twitter here. I'm going to show a little clip of me playing on one of the hard tracks and some of the precision. And you probably, if you haven't played the game, you might not be able to, you might not get really the skill that's on display. So make this full screen. The quality sucks because it's Twitter, but so this is me on a hard track on Trials, and of course it's gonna pause. Of course it is. Notice how when my character shifts forward and back, that's me on the analog stick. And anytime I climb a hill slow or anything, that's me on analog triggers. But you don't have like, your reactions have to be fast. Like, to land these, to get ready for your the transition into the next move or next section, it's super precise. It's almost like a fighting game. Like racing games where you have these precision moments like this right here. Any little bit of added delay or anything from the half frame rate, and I probably bail, and I don't have this no fault run. So a game like that, it has nothing to do with graphic whoring when it's like, all right, this version runs at 30 with some stuttering on Switch, and on all other systems it's a lock 60, except for like one exception on the PlayStation where it's like this explosion at the beginning of a level, and it's like, let me just read some comments, and I'll probably just get out of here. So one thing that gets me graphics wise is when there's a body of water and you walk by it, you can always see a shimmy water around your character like a border. What is that all about? I have no idea what you're talking about. That says, water is a tricky thing. Like getting reflections, it's usually faked. It's not actually reflecting the environment properly. So it's just, each game's different, but most games you're not gonna look into a body of water and see your character model detailed or anything like that. That's probably gonna be what ray tracing gets you in 5 to 10 years, because that's like real time lighting and reflections and stuff. Not there's no faking it or anything like that. So eventually that'll be there. But so yeah, it's just like, it's hard. I don't take it too serious, but when somebody accuses me of being something, I've always said, if what the hell's Apex open for? If somebody puts graphics ahead of gameplay, you know, that's a graphics whore. I've always talked down to anyone about anyone that has that mentality, and I still do to this day. If you put graphics ahead of anything else, then I feel sorry for you. Like, I didn't buy Spider-Man on the PS4. That's a amazing looking game. Anthem came out. It's a great looking game. I didn't buy that. Detroit Becoming Human, did not buy that. You know, Order 1886 or whatever, didn't buy that. There's a ton of great looking games that I don't even think twice about because I don't care. Graphics aren't going to get me to buy a game. It has to be the game has to be interesting, or the gameplay has to look really fun, or, you know, something I just know I'm going to fall in love with. And then the graphics are like the icing on the cake. You know, they're the added benefit. But I can say, like, not just the graphics side of it, but the performance side of it can ruin an experience. Like, you might have a game that looks pretty good, but it's constantly stuttering and causing you know, deaths and stuff. You know, that's where graphics, because they're trying to push beyond what the system is, or it's not optimized, and you're actually hindering the gameplay experience. So I mean, there are times where a game could look promising, and when it's running smooth, it's fun. But if there's all kinds of performance problems because they're trying to do too much, that's where graphics actually hurt the experience. Like, that I wouldn't buy a game because of poor performance of a game, not because, oh my god, it looks like an N64 game in 2019. Well, there's a lot of indie games that look retro, but they're fucking still amazing, you know? Like, Celeste was a great game. A lot of people like Yooka-Laylee. I mean, it's a decent looking game, but it's not pushing any boundaries or anything for this generation. And so yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. I mean, if you just can't stand somebody pointing out anything technical, graphics, frame rate, any of that stuff, I'd have to say you're probably going to want to unsubscribe to the channel, because I'm always going to mention that stuff. I mean, I've been noticing that stuff since the slowdown was happening on Contra on the NES. You know, I didn't quite know what was doing it. I knew it was because there's too much on screen. I didn't know all the technical aspects, or the rendering and frame rates and all that. But I've noticed that stuff, you know, 30-something years ago. I remember telling Mizzy about something, and he's like, you were thinking about frame rates right back then? I'm like, yeah, like fucking Turok 2 was at like 10, 15 frames per second. That's the reason I didn't buy the game. I was kind of excited for it. Now it's coming to Switch, you know, or if it's coming to Switch, the second one, maybe I'll check it out. But I just remember seeing it playing like a slideshow, and I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, that's not a game that's deserving of my money. You know, I'm not going to put up with that, even back in the N64 days. So, and then in today's day and age, most games look great no matter what. We're at a point now where where just about anything can look amazing, from the Oninaki or whatever from the Direct, that little RPG, like 2.5D looking game. Link's Awakening, like another 2.5 looking game, looks amazing. Then you got Astral Chain with, you know, more of a anime style, looks amazing. Then you got fucking Ghost of Tsushima on the PS4, possibly PS5, I don't know. It looks absolutely stunning. You know, and then I guess the difference would be if some people think, and someone brought this up just in the art style, I haven't even talked about that. Some people do associate graphics with art style, and it's not even. You could have a great art style, I guess, and terrible graphics. and I guess it would be a factor. But to me, art style and graphics are two separate things. Like this lion here is, I don't know if it's coming through. I just looked for 1440p desktop backgrounds. This was done with Photoshop Paint. Even though in this area it almost looks photorealistic. But if this was just a photo of a lion and someone tried to change the colors of it, you know, that would look off to me. This is basically someone's artistic flair on what a lion, you know, looks like a male lion, and just adding their artistic flair. So this would almost be what art direction is in a video game. Like, somebody might want to look at a photorealistic lion. Maybe it was drawn in paint or whatever. And others like me would want this, you know, amazing, colorful, surreal looking lion. You know, that's what's appealing to me. It'd be impressive if somebody made a photorealistic looking lion using paint. But I'm not going to put that as a backdrop, you know, so that's just a whole other discussion I don't want to get into. And yes, Perfect Dark did run terrible, especially the final boss. I never could beat that boss. Yeah, the PS1. I mean, I'd be lying. I think most people would be lying. If you didn't notice that the wall warping and the weird look of PlayStation 1 games, the 3D games, if you didn't notice that, I don't know how you couldn't. It was so immediately apparent to me. You could see where the seams, like, you would see the gap between the seams, like on walls, the warping. It just looked off, and it was the early days of 3D. I was noticing that stuff. It didn't stop me from playing games, but I'd notice it. Like Tomb Raider, I didn't own it, but I played one night. Some buddies, we were playing it all freaking night. But I still noticed how the textures, everything didn't line up, and you know, how it was hard to tell where the fuck you were even going, or where you could. It's just, you know, the caves, everything looked the same. Halo, the first Halo game, when you got in the alien ship, and every fucking corridor, every wall, every door looked identical. You know, it's like, I've always noticed that stuff, but it didn't stop me from beating Halo. It didn't stop me from playing Tomb Raider until the morning, you know, like, but I've always noticed it. So I guess maybe I'm different. I've always noticed it. I've always paid attention to that stuff, but it never stopped me from playing something. And then photorealistic graphics and stuff. I'm not going to not play a game if it goes for a realistic art direction, like a Red Dead Redemption 2 or something. That's not the reason I didn't play the game. The reason I didn't play it was because the gameplay looks trash. But it's a really technically impressive game. But I'd say Breath of the Wild easily trumps it in visuals. But not technical visuals. Technical visuals, but just overall visuals, art style, everything to me is more appealing. The game Valley, I remember seeing something about Valley on a Switch Up, but I don't remember what that was. Is that 3D kind of slow walking simulator, like puzzle? I think it is, but yeah. You know, and there's good looking games on all systems. There's bad looking games on all systems. What's that one on PS4? It was laughable. I think there was like a tiger or something in some kind of big cat, and it was just embarrassingly bad. Now, if you just, you know, somebody throws together a shitty game and it looks bad, you know, that's definitely off-putting. But it's always more to me than the visuals. The visuals are always going to be a factor on some level, but it's pretty far down on my list usually. So anyway, that's it for talking about games and how they look. I'm going to play some games. I haven't played Rocket League in about a week, so I'm definitely going to jump on that. But thanks everybody for tuning in, and you know, I might have to upgrade the old CPU or the PC part of it, because every time I try to put any kind of gameplay on these streams, I get in the red. So I don't know if that's a computer issue or a bandwidth issue from because my uploading speed's only 12 megabytes. Not sure, but anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in. It's been a good discussion, and hopefully I cleared that up. I can't believe I went like a freaking hour on this topic, 55 minutes or whatever. I just, that seems to be the sweet spot for me. I can't do short videos. I gave up trying. So anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.